The GMO is the story of the day in our nation and is considered by every Kenyan as a direct death ticket. The issue of genetically modified organisms has spread vigorously following the trade CS Moses Kuria on the decisions which he said it have been made by the government to deliberately allow 6-month duty-free imports of 10 million bags of GMO and non-GMO maize to curb food insecurities in Kenya. This decision has brought a lot of tension to everyone in Kenya, since considering the numerous risks brought along by the GMO foods, it is a big threat to Kenyan population at large. The CS of Trade said that death risk brought by the GMO food is not adverse, and following so many death risks that are competing to kill Kenyans, there is no problem to add the death risk of GMO in the list to kill us. For instance, we have so many risks that we are facing as a country. Right now we are being faced by drought in some parts of the country, hunger, we have incurable diseases like cancer, we have insecurities in terms of theft, robbery, gangs. Some are raiding kettles within some different parts of our country. We also have drug abuse, frequent road accidents, among other risks that are facing Kenyans. And therefore, when we add in the list, GMO is another death risk that is facing all of us in few years to come, if it will be allowed to be important in Kenya. And following this decision, so many Kenyans are not pleased with the decision of the government. There are many leaders who have openly spoke their minds, and they are all against the importation of the GMO maize. The first leader being Senator Ledama Olekina from Narok. He termed Moses Kuria's remarks as being ridiculous to Kenyans, and on his Twitter account, the official one, he was urging Kenyans to say no to GMO foods. And therefore, this shows that Senator Olekina is really championing for natural foods that are being produced by Kenyans farmers. Another leader, Senator Samson Cherargei from Nandi County, also resisted the importation of GMO foods. On his official Twitter account, he posted saying importing of the GMO foods will lead to lower food prices, since the Rift Valley side of our country, farmers are experiencing harvesting season, and we have plenty of maize which can feed our population. And considering the high cost of inputs the farmers have invested in their lands, the resulting lower food prices will cause a lot of loss to our farmers, and therefore Senator Cherargei Samson is urging the government to at least stop the importation of the food so that we can utilize the food in the Rift Valley region. And another leader who has been against the importation of the GMO food is Lawyer Miguna Miguna. Despite Miguna Miguna being a good friend to Ruto, he is in the front line and he has criticized President Ruto's government on his decision about the importation of the GMO foods. And on his Twitter account, he shared a statement saying that the government made a reckless and irresponsible decision on deciding to allow 6 months duty-free importation of 10 million bags of GMO and non-GMO foods. And therefore, he bitterly complains about this, and he urges the president to at least consider the situation of people in our country. The church was also not left behind. On behalf of the churches in Kenya, Reverend Archbishop Anthony Muheria also blamed the government, considering the statement made by the CS Trade, Moses Kuria. Reverend Anthony said that Moses Kuria was disrespectful to Kenyans and life, and therefore he is championing for a discussion to be held and debate to engage Kenyans with the scientists so that the decisions of Kenyans can be considered. He is calling upon public participation in every step before the government makes its final decision. And another champion who has bitterly complained about the same is the opposition leader, Honorable Raila Odinga from Azimio la Umoja. He disagrees bitterly with the government, the decision on importation of the GMO food. And to understand about the stand of Raila Odinga, kindly watch the following video and listen to the alternative that he have said, and for us to understand what he wants.
Order Kenya Quisha regime will subject Kenyans to unproven and dangerous foods in an attempt to please international interests and do not care about our safety. We ask Kenyans to oppose this move and to totally reject any GMO foods should they ever enter the Kenyan market. Our constitution is clear on the sovereignty of the people on matters both small and large. On grave matters such as life-altering GMO foods and technology, the people's voice must be heard and respected. We are sure the people and their chosen leaders will overwhelmingly reject GMOs once their views are heard. End of.
GMO is the story of the day in our nation and is considered as a ticket to death. The GMO has vigorously spread on the negative side of our minds, basing on the speech of the CS of Trade, Moses Kuria, when he said that the decision of the government is deliberate and it have decided to allow a 6-month duty-free importation of 10 million bags of GMO and non-GMO maize for food security in Kenya. This decision has brought a lot of tension to Kenya as a nation and everyone, considering the numerous death risks that is being brought by the GMO foods. Moses Kuria said despite the death risks brought by the GMO food, Kenya is already dead since there are so many risks competing to kill us. Maybe some of the risks that are competing to kill Kenyans, we have insecurities in terms of thefts, robbery, cattle raiding, drug abuse, incurable diseases like cancer, HIV and AIDS, communicable diseases like tuberculosis, among others. Drought and hunger is already another death risk that is killing Kenyans. And so, in his statement, he said adding GMO foods to the list of these death risks is not a big deal, since we shall all die soon. And therefore, due to his statement, many Kenyans are not pleased with the government's decision, and therefore, many leaders have come openly speaking their minds and opinions on what they think should be done, and most of them are against the GMO's food importation in the country. When we start by Senator of Narok, Senator Ledama Olekina, he says Moses Kuria's remarks are ridiculous to Kenyans, and on his Twitter account, official one, he was urging the Kenyans to say no to GMO importations to Kenya. Another leader was Senator of Nandi, Samson Cherargei,